How are parents responding to the Biden administration's targeting of these parents, the mobilization of let's have meetings between the FBI and law enforcement agencies. Let's see if these parents pose a danger to school board officials and teachers. Are these parents intimidating? Are they threatening them? Are they domestic terrorists of one kind or another? Of course, the whole idea is preposterous. Even in the letter that was sent by the National School Board Association, this was to the Biden administration saying, listen, we teachers are really scared. We school board members are really scared. You need to mobilize and get law enforcement on this. The question becomes, what examples could they provide that these parents pose this massive threat? And when you have to look at the fine print, the footnotes, in fact, and you realize their examples are like downright stupid. In one case, they say that a winery entrepreneur, a guy named John Tiggs, was arrested. He was arrested after he yelled at his school board in Loudoun County, Virginia. So he was arrested for yelling, evidently. Then they say that there was a, quote, unruly crowd of parents in Spotsylvania, Pennsylvania at a school board meeting. Unruly crowd. What did the crowd actually do? How unruly was it? Was it just parents basically expressing their discontent? They're unruly. We need to make sure that we tamp them down. And then they talked about protesters who, quote, disrupted a school board in Poway Unified School District in California. Again, disrupted how? Disrupted in the sense that they raised objections, they spoke out of turn, and the school board had to adjourn. Is that what disrupted means? Or are they talking about physical disruption? You can see that this is what the left does all the time, is they conflate terms and they use incendiary language, which gives them the implication that the parents did X, whereas in fact, it may well be that they did Y. Now, there's a woman named Asra Nomani in Fairfax County, Virginia. I'm going to try to get her on the podcast, but she's the leader of one of these parents groups. Her group is called Parents Defending Education. This is a very smart woman, Asian Indian, by the way. So we're not talking about this is not a white supremacist. This is a former Wall Street Journal reporter. This is somebody who's taught at Georgetown. She's president of a strategy firm, and she's mobilizing parents around the country. Now, she has an article in which she talks about the fact that, well, first of all, I love this. She posted on social media. She goes, I taped a message to the National Association of School Boards. I'm what a domestic terrorist looks like, meaning I'm an ordinary parent. You want to come get me? Come get me. And she goes, you owe parents an apology. We reject violence. But what she knows, and she, in this article, Asra Nomani says that the real goal of this is to get parents to back off and to scare them, to get them to watch what they say and don't show up, and not maybe I shouldn't be so active and I want to have a normal life. But Asra Nomani gives example of Stacy Langton, who was, by the way, a parent in the Fairfax County schools. And this woman stands up before the school board and she reads just examples of pedophilia, of child porn, all this disgusting material that's in the school library available to children as young as 12. And the school board is like squirming, you're out of turn, you're out of time. So that the school, it's interesting, the school board doesn't say, whoa, wow, thank you for pointing out to us. We had no idea there's all this filth that we are promulgating through public education. We'll immediately look into it and stop it. No, they see her, the whistleblower, if you will, as the problem. And what they don't like is all these parents then stand up and shout, shame, shame, shame. So this is the threat that the Biden administration is trying to shut down. In a sense, what Merrick Garland has done, this Attorney General, this guy, by the way, we're really happy you're not on the Supreme Court, you fraud. But anyway, he's issued a declaration of war on American parents. Of course, this woman, Stacy Langton, was not threatening anybody, but what you have here is parents are being pushed up against the wall. And Asra Nomani talks about her own experience. She goes, I know that when I started speaking up, I started getting pushback from the schools. The school board president yells at her, go back and sit down in your seat. There are now 160 of these parents groups around the country. They're a big threat to the teachers' unions. They're a big threat to racial indoctrination. They're a big threat to trans indoctrination. And by the way, a little tidbit, Merrick Garland's daughter is married to a guy who does what? He's a consultant. He's a co-founder of a group called Panorama Education that provides, guess what? Critical race theory consulting services. To whom? To schools. So these guys, and this is the swamp. There's always money in it somewhere. So it's yes, it's partly ideological and it's partly monetary. I mean, these people are kind of filthy. They're filthy from the top to the bottom, and it's typically on more than one level. The really good news for me is that parents, by and large, are pretty tough, and they're very tough. Moms are when it comes to their kids. They become very protective. They become, the lioness. W here is like nodding vigorously. And so I don't even think that the threats of the U.S. government, all this bombast, and that's mostly what it is going to deter parents from being active. And what I suggest is parents, you know what? There's no need to yell. There's no need to, what you should do, don't just take on the school board. Run for school board. Displace these losers on the school board so you become the school board. That's kind of how the left took over education. They took over the seats in the departments. They took over the departmental chairs. They became the presidents of universities. And with effort, and it's going to take a little bit of time, we need to do what they did. We need to take our institutions back.